Hello, welcome to A Happy Adult. I'm so proud of you. You've decided to join me again today, and that means that you have chosen to take the route to become a happier adult. Remember, I can give you the tools, but you eventually will be the one who has to use those tools. Today, we're going to talk about how to rocket life as far as your priorities go and getting stuff done. So in a prior video, I talked about work-life balance. So this kind of adds to that work-life balance. Many of you guys were probably like, oh, so I've got this work-life balance, but I'm not getting enough done. How do I still get done everything that I need to get done and have that time for my family and have that enjoyment and everything else? Well, the first thing is called PMA. Get that in your head. So PMA is a positive mental attitude. And that was actually from a book by Napoleon Hill that was Think and Grow Rich. I highly recommend it if you are interested in becoming an entrepreneur or just in general about life. So a positive mental attitude is being in every situation, being positive about what you are doing. And it has been shown that a positive mental attitude, in multiple case studies, a positive mental attitude will actually help with sickness, it will help with diseases. That's why they have the placebo effect, which is where some people are given just a sugar pill and still get better because they have that positive mental attitude. They believe that they are going to get better. Now, sometimes spirituality and religion will help with that because it gives you that viewpoint that you're not on your own and there's somebody there to support you. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean organized religion. That can just be your own personal viewpoint, but it's not necessary. It's not 100% necessary that you are a religious person. You just have to have that positive mental attitude. So I want to make sure I hit everything. So how do you do that? So there's a couple of things. I am really big into visualization. So I agree with law of attraction, which states that if you put out vibes or energy into the world saying this is what I want, the world will bring it back to you. Now, with that said, you also have to have action toward that thing. So, for example, I can visualize that I want a house, a particular type of house. And I can visualize it, and to the point where I can feel the emotions and everything else. But if at that point I just sit at home and I never take any action to go look at houses or any action to make sure that my credit is good or any action, that's not going to be effective because it's like you saying, okay, universe, do everything for me and I'm not going to put any effort in. So some people believe that no matter what, you can get what you want and you don't even have to do anything but just sit there and think of it. I don't agree with that. You do have to take some action toward whatever this thing is that you want. So to get the positive mental attitude every single day, there are a couple of things that you can do with visualization. So one of the things is you can visualize before the day how you want that day to go, what you want to and expect in that day. So again, when we talked about those priorities, think about your priorities. What do I want to accomplish this day? And visualize everything going exactly well. Now, you can also visualize on the back end. So after you've had a really bad day, you can go back to that day, or even a regular day, and that wasn't really what you wanted. You can go back and visualize what that day would have looked like if it had been your ideal day, and kind of go back on there. So you can visualize beforehand, which is what I would recommend, or you can visualize on the back end of what you could have done better, what could have changed. Because remember, our minds do not know what is real and what is our perception that we've put in there. So you can actually have a physical reaction, positive reaction to something that you have just absolutely imagined. It doesn't have to be just the physical reality. Another thing you can do, and I do this, I'll talk to you guys later about definite chief aim. That's another writer. But what I do is every time I change my definite chief aim, and again we'll talk about that in another video, I visualize before that particular, because I do it per month, I visualize my goals for that month. So say for example, if I really I wanted to work on my house. My house has just gotten to the point where it's not a peaceful place. So I would visualize how exactly I wanted it to happen, how I wanted it to look, what kind of flooring did I want, and then from there, I would then go out and again take the action and try to make all of those things into a reality. So again, you can do it before, you can do it afterward, or you can do bigger picture goals. So watch your words. Okay, I know I tell you guys all the time, oh, you talk to yourself. Talk to yourself. Watch the words that you say. So never say, I can't, I don't, I have to. Okay, you don't have to. You choose to. You choose to do whatever you want because you don't want that consequence. So what that does is that says the choice is mine. I have my own responsibility to move my life into the direction that I want it to go. If it's not where I want it to be, I'm going to visualize where I want it to be, and I'm going to start taking action to get there. You don't have to do anything. Nothing. Your body will breathe. Your body will do what it needs to do. So there is nothing you have to do. Now, you may not want the consequences of not doing something, so in that case, you choose to do it. So watch what you say. Always watch those words that you say out loud and what you say in your head. Okay, watch when you're talking to yourself. So change that language. So I'm going to talk next about Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This was one of the books that really had an impact on my life, and it was the first thing. One of the things I want to talk to you is about being proactive versus being reactive. So a person who is proactive looks ahead, sees what changes need to be made, and makes them, or tries to make them, or starts making them before it becomes what I call the vortex of stress. So once it becomes the vortex of stress, then you're just putting out fires. Then you're just going up. So reactive is something happens to you, you need to then react. Okay? You don't want to be reactive. You want to be proactive, where you're already taking care of the important things that need to be taken care of. There should be very, very, very few times in your day or even in your life where you have to be reactive. So, for example, you've got a small child, right? Your small child falls, hurts their lip. You have to be reactive, obviously. Being proactive, though, is, looking in advance and making sure your home is as safe as it could be. But again, sometimes children just fall off over nothing and hurt their lips. So then you have to be reactive. So you want to keep those reactive moments to not long-term things, just short reactive moments. That will keep your stress level down. Because if you're proactive, you kind of have figured out what's going on, most of your day is pretty chill, that's when you have a happier life. So how do you do that? So one of the things is there's 3 circles. So your first circle is your circle of control. Those are the things in your direct control. I have control over what I put in my mouth. I have control over how much exercise I do. I have control over my close surroundings, right? The next is your circle of influence. Circle of influence is things that you influence that, but you can't directly control it. So children, can you directly control your children? Not very often. Can you influence your children so that they make good choices? Yes. And then the last one is the circle of concern. So those might be things that you are concerned about, like politics, but you really don't have a lot of direct control over it. You don't have a lot of influence on it. So you really should most of the time be dealing with your circle of control, your circle of influence. And then eventually, when you have those things down and under control and things are going, then you'll see that that circle of influence actually kind of spreads out. And you have more of a circle of influence that goes into that circle of concern. But you got to take care of the close things first. That's what you need to do first. And then you can then it'll spread out. Practice saying this. It's not my monkey. It's not my circus. It's not my monkey. It's not my circus. So if something happens around you that is not within your circle of influence nor your circle of control, and it has some kind of frustration for you, but there's really nothing you can do about it or influence the situation in any way, you say to yourself, it's not my monkey, it's not my circus. It's not my monkey, it's not in my circle of control. It's not my circus. It's not within my circle of influence. It's not something that I can take care of. So at that point, you just keep saying that to yourself every time something like that happens, because then you won't have that frustration. It's not within your control. It takes that away from you, and that will kind of put you a little bit more at peace. So another thing that Stephen Covey has is he has these quadrants, okay, that you have, and I'll talk to you about those, and they're based upon how important something is and how when it needs to be taken care of. So a lot of times we end up taking care of things that are of little importance but need to be taken care of right away. So say, for example, the phone is ringing. Okay, so the phone is ringing and you're at home. It most likely is not something that is very important, but it's something that needs to be taken care of right away. Then there's the things that are not important, don't need to be taken care of right away. And so those we tend to not, we go, okay, well, it's not important, doesn't mean, or we go, oh, that's my relaxation time. Like Facebook, not important, doesn't need to be taken care of right away, neither of those things, right? So television, same thing. Okay, so those are the things that kind of suck our energy away, that are really should not be a priority in your life. Now, a lot of times, the things that are important but don't need to be taken care of right away, we don't mess with those or do those until they become something that has to be taken care of right away. So say, for example, and that's where we should be most of the time, we should be working on the things that are important but don't need to be taken care of right away, because that keeps you from a stressful time later when, oh my gosh, now it has to be taken care of. So think about things like dentist appointments. Okay, dentist appointments, unless you have a cavity and pain, are something that are important, but really don't have to be taken care of right away. And then before they become a problem. Things like exercising every day, right? Having a set exercise. It's important, but it'll take you pretty long before it becomes a real problem, before your heart starts breaking down, before you put on so much weight that you have to take medication. Eventually it will get there. But you need to sit there and think about what are the things that are important and things that don't necessarily need to be done right away. And that's where you should spend most of your time, because that's that nice little relaxing time, get things done time, feeling of accomplishment. And then you don't ever get into the time where it is a problem. So the other zone, we try to stay out, because it is the vortex of stress, right? It's the things that are, oh my gosh, it's important and it has to be done right now, like right now. So for example, if you have now, you haven't exercised, you haven't eaten right, and now you have to have cardiovascular surgery, that's important and has to be done right away. That causes stress. So all of those are your vortex of stress. Sometimes they happen. But you want most of your life to be working in that second quadrant, working in that time where it is important, but it does not need to be done right away, because that will keep you from that vortex of stress. And again, that was just in part of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'll talk a little bit more about that, other parts of that at a later time. Really influential. He works off of a lot of the earlier writers like Napoleon Hill. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys came away with some really good stuff. Remember, you have the strength. You have the strength to handle anything that comes at you this week. I'm sending you guys much love. Hope to see you guys next time. Don't forget, if you enjoyed, subscribe and like so that you get these. Thank you.